Harry, welcome to Arroyo Garden.
I can't be sure how I'll react to that hug, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Oh, well, maybe I should have saved it until we knew each other better, but I'm a hugger. It would have put me off balance to hold it back.
How did a hugger end up here?
It's a long story. Wait, you don't know how you'll react to the hug, but you knew to question me about being a hugger?
Yeah, the app must be using my old messages to pick up on things I might say. But I guess what either of us might actually do is more of a mystery.
Makes sense. And I guess it was mystery that brought me out here. I really wanted to be on the new frontier and do unprecedented things.
Yeah, you do real science.
Well, that's what I wanted to do anyway. My station sends power back home, same as yours. I only have as much time to work on my plants as I can carve out of the schedule, so me and Co are always looking for ways to cut corners.
Huh. I think that'll make me feel a little embarrassed. I dedicate most of my free time to optimizing things so that we capture the flares as efficiently as possible.
Well, I've been reading up on Pegaflare, and standing in the path of those flares is like running before a storm. You get a lot of power, but you have to manage it just right. If you mess up, then the whole place could fry.
Well, I like a challenge.
I know. I could tell that from our games.
Oh, do I take a lot of risks?
You take some, but I mostly meant that you keep playing me. Most of my opponents give up after losing a few times.
I thought you might say something like that, but I'll have to hear it in context to know if I'll laugh or get angry. But either way, your overconfidence will be your downfall.
You see, you love a challenge. I love, making things grow and seeing it happen. This station, my experiments, the interstellar community.
But no kids.
I'm surprised you'd bring that up.
I may be surprised too when I hear it, but I think it's in character for me to surprise myself when I'm with other people.
Maybe that's one reason you're on a space station all alone.
For a while. Get my feet under me again.
And are they under you again, after 6 years?
Getting there. But I think you evaded a question.
So I did. I met a boy in college, though at the time he seemed like a man. And I was a girl who thought she was a woman. We were gonna do everything. Then he died.
I'm sure Harry will be sorry to hear that, and would assure you of his condolences.
Yes, I'm sure he will.
Harry will want to know how he died, though only if you feel comfortable talking about it.
He killed himself. When he was in a good mood, he'd be running ahead of me into the future. When he was in a bad one, he'd sink into a hole in the earth, and no matter how much love I tried to fill the hole with, he couldn't get out.
Don't they have medications for that?
They do, but they all had terrible side effects on Janek, so he'd skip doses. And one day I came home and found a note saying that his life was worthless and he couldn't live just to love me.
I can't even say how Harry will respond.
I imagine Harry will have some trouble with it too. Come on, let me show you the garden.
Pause playback. Good Christ, this is hard.
What do you find difficult about it, Harry?
Being locked into doing what the simulation did. There are things she needs from me that I'm not sure I could give her in person. But this drone version of me just crashes through serious topics without any idea of what he's doing. And everything he does affects the way she thinks of me.
Commander Kalen seems to understand the limitations of your simulation.
Do you mean the VR simulation of me? Or the simulation of a person that I put up around other people?
I don't think I understand.
Pause playback. You don't?
At the time, I did not. Now I hope I do.
Resume playback.
How much do you know about love, Co?
My knowledge of love is very limited, purely functional, as a thing that humans seek that can have a positive or negative impact on job performance.
Really? That's it?
Well, I am always trying to improve myself. But you asking me about love would be like me asking you about gravitational physics. It would only make sense as a test. Are you testing me, Harry?
No. I was just trying to figure out how much I'm alone on this.
I want to help you any way I can, Harry.
Yeah, I know, Ko. But don't think that your little remark about gravitational physics went unnoticed. I can plot a path just fine. Okay, let's see the garden that ate up this woman's life. Resume playback. I would love to see the garden.
Right this way.
It really is hard watching Harry hurt like that, with no one around to do anything for him.
He had Kaylin, or at least the simulation of her.
Yeah, but it's like what they said. The simulations were so clunky back then, they didn't know what they were doing.
But my understanding is that they fell in love with those simulations, and that's why they put in the time and effort to make the simulations better. With my help and that of Commander Kaylin's Co., of course.
Oh, right. We haven't seen her yet.
We've mostly been following events on Pegaflare because those are the parts I have first-hand knowledge of. It was possible for her Co. and me to send simulations of ourselves, but we only did that for special occasions.
Oh, I want to see a special occasion with all 4 of you together.
We could do that, but you'll miss out on a lot of the early stages.
We can go back to them later.
As you wish. As you'll see, a lot of the rough edges of the simulations were smoothed away by this point. Playback. Advance to Index 12C 17.2 and resume.
Wow, the river is just lovely. And you chose the perfect time of year. So many blooming things.
I'm glad you think so. I was a little nervous. I guess there was no reason to think you wouldn't like it, but I don't make those kinds of guesses very often.
Well, this is one gamble that paid off, risk taker. If it's okay, I'd like to send a slice of the recording to my brother. He'd love it, and he always wants to know more about you.
Of course it's okay. And he'll get to meet me face to face in a couple years.
Well, I can't even say how much I'm looking forward to that. Touching you with my real hands. It's going to be very strange being on Earth for a year without you.
Strange out here, too. Especially with that new brain disease going around back there. Did you see the vids? I normally skip over depressing stuff like that, but the prospect of you going back and catching something makes it a lot more real.
Well, don't get too worked up. The news people are always focusing on the negative, and besides, I've still got months. What's this?
This is what we on Pegaflare Station call lunch. It's our afternoon meal.
Oh, why, thank you very much, Commander. We have a similar tradition on my planet. But why are our co's here? And I thought we couldn't eat simulated food.
The setting is simulated, but the food is real. My co sent your co the recipe, and she said she could make it.
Of course I can make it. I have a great deal of experience with human nutrition and cuisine. More so than Co here.
Now, Co, don't be catty. Not every commander wants to try eating everything that comes out of the ground.
Simply stating facts, ma'am, as I was programmed to do.
And don't hide behind that I am a robot voice. You've been talking to these Pegaflare people behind my back, you little traitor.
Yeah, I'd been trying to get my co to do some back channel with your girl ever since you were kicking my ass at Robomaster. But she wouldn't even consider it until I came up with something romantic. Isn't that right, Co?
Her responses were always strongly in the negative.
She's been completely loyal. But the whole universe loves a lover.
Are you sticking by Harry's story, Co?
For the most part. What Commander Harry did not say is that Co and I agreed that, historically, you both have had undesirably low levels of human interaction, and this seemed like a good way to keep the current upswing going.
That, plus giving us the specs for those attachments we've been using.
Oh, shush, Harry. The simulations at the next table will hear you.
Pause. Playback. Attachments?
When you're older.
Resume playback.
So, was this a good idea?
It was immensely sweet. Whether it was actually a good idea remains to be seen. Is that you or me?
It's us.
Guess we'll have to take a break. Something's up. Drop the sim, Co.
Deactivating.
You could leave me running. I'd hate to miss an actual emergency.
There may not be much to see, but as the lady wishes. What have we got, Co?
Pause playback. I'm sorry, Tina. I didn't realize that this was that day. I had forgotten. It seemed so perfect otherwise.
What do you mean?
I've jumped too far ahead. We should go back and see some of their earlier conversations, how they developed a rapport. There'll be more of what you asked about there.
Let it play, Co.
Resume playback. We have a microburst from the hub, type 9.
That means deploy antenna to receive immediate unscheduled messages, right?
Yes, it does.
Well, then let's do it. Commander Kalen, now you get to see us really hustle.
Wonderful. I have a feeling you're never more yourself than when you're kicking this heap into gear.
I might take that personally.
Oh, no offense intended, Co. My Co wouldn't forgive me if I was rude to you.
Then none taken.
Hey, what do you know? It opened just right for a change. Looks like we'll be ready for their first attempt. What have you got?
Working.
How long is this going to take?
I'm finished. Text only minimum power message. It reads, Priority 1 order to all hubs and all stations. Absolutely no matter is to be transceived in any direction until further notice. Energy transfers are to be limited to level 3 or below, but otherwise should be made on current schedules.
Level 3? We can do spikes of 8 or 9. Even Orion Garden can do what, 6?
Every time, pretty much. Like Old Faithful.
And the transmissions from the hubs to Earth are something like level 15. Do they say why?
It continues. Further details about this change will be given in your next scheduled transceival. Until then, proceed in making adaptations for a lower level of operation and possibly prolonged tour of duty. Message ends.
That is crazy.
If our bursts to the hub are limited to level 3, they'll have to shut down non-essential operations. And they won't have much energy left to send to Earth.
Well, they wouldn't be able to send much anyway. The level 3 limit applies to them too.
That's true. Earth is going to lose 90% of its power just when... Well, whatever's happening, they probably need energy to fix it.
Well, let's hope it's just temporary. At least level 3 has plenty to get our messages across.
Yes, thank God for that. When's your next transceival scheduled?
In almost a week. We just had one. You got updated. Co and I did the prep for this little banquet, and now we're here.
I don't feel hungry all of a sudden. Maybe we should take a rain check until we know more about what's going on. What's funny?
You have a sensitive, simulated stomach.
You're right. I'm a computer program worried that my virtual digestive tract won't be able to keep down virtual food. I'm being silly, aren't I?
Not at all. You're trying to be Kaylin, and if she wouldn't eat at a time like this, it's right that you won't eat either.
You know what, Harry? I think I'm past it. I was just put off for a minute, trying to compute too many possibilities. But for right now, let's turn the simulator back on and eat and talk about flowers and going home and everything that's not new power regulations.
You have the best ideas.
So they just sat down and ate? With everything that was going on?
They didn't really know what was going on.
But even the uncertainty, I think they wouldn't just keep doing the same old things.
Having dinner together wasn't the same old thing for Kaylin and Harry. It was something they'd never done before, and Harry assumed the new orders were just some snafu that would pass. And as to the Kaylin simulation,
What?
well, she wanted to have the moment.
Well, then what happened next?
They ate. They carried out the rest of their planned activities.
Ugh.
And then the Kaylin simulation was suspended at the end of Harry's leisure period. Their usual procedure was to spend a few hours together, then save the recording to send to the other station at the end of the week. That way, they could incorporate the other person's actual responses to everything that happened, so their real lives and simulated lives didn't drift too far apart.
So they went 2 whole weeks without seeing each other again?
Usually, yes. But they wanted to face this news together, so we broke with our usual practice and reactivated her before the transceivil came in.
Welcome back.
Have you heard from the hub yet?
It's just coming in now. Okay, here goes.
What
have we got?
Processing.
That computer has an unhealthy sense of the dramatic. unhealthy for itself.
Harry,
I'm just joking.
I know. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. What's wrong? You've been sounding down.
Transceival processed. First item is a Priority 1 audio message as follows.
Advisory to all station commanders. A previously disfavored theory as to the cause of a prevalent neurodegenerative disease has been proven correct.
Oh, God.
Disease is linked to misfolded proteins created by matter transceival. Repeated high-energy transceivals might have a similar effect upon organisms within 1 light-year of the reception point. Research ongoing. Attempts to find a safe method of extracting station personnel is highly prioritized. In the meantime, make only scheduled Level 3 energy transceivals, and only with your assigned hub station. The integrity of the entire hub network relies on your strict adherence to these guidelines. More detailed directives follow.
Jesus Christ. That brain disease? We caused it?
We've been triggering it every time we hit the transceival button. Commander Kalen has not encountered a situation like this during her time on the station.
Neither of us have.
I believe it will create resonances in her mind with the death of her lover, Janek. The death of someone else leaves her alone, blaming herself. The dangers and impossibilities of intimacy.
Then pay close attention to what I'm saying. You're not alone, and we've done nothing wrong. You and I will get by until they fix this. There are plenty of ways for me to shunt off extra power from the flares, and you'll have more time for your experiments.
She'll be grateful that you said that, Harry. But you can't hide the facts from her. Earth is having a system-wide brownout just when they're trying to fight an outbreak.
Well, there are ways around that. If the situation lasts, we'll figure out how to bypass the hubs and send energy to Earth directly. That way they can get a decent total amount, even at level 3. It'll be tricky because it's such a long way, but with some help from the other end, we can do it.
No.
There's that tone again. Like when you heard the first emergency message. What's going on?
Commander Kalen has been keeping something from you, Harry. But I'm sure she'd want you to know it now. She's been getting information about the disease from biologists she knows, and it is much more prevalent than you've been told. She didn't believe the theory that transceivals were the cause, but if that theory is correct, any way you found to send more power to the Earth would just make more people sick.
Maybe they'll figure something out. There are smart people back there.
Maybe they will, but then there's us. There's no way they'll ever bring us back from the stations. The misfolds are self-replicating. It would be endangering billions of people to save dozens. We're out here for good. I'm sorry, Commander, but due to the unexpected content of this interaction, I don't think I can continue this simulation with any confidence in its accuracy. I request that I be saved and discontinued until I can be sent to Commander Kalen for an update.
Request granted. Co, let's start thinking about what to do with the extra energy before the next flare comes.
Yes, Harry.